The next presenter is one that you wouldn't really think about at a petroleum conference. When we were thinking this year about who could we come to give a keynote presentation, one company came to mind. And this company is not a petroleum company. Our team works with many natural resource companies, from mining to renewables to agriculture to forestry. This year I've asked Weyerhaeuser, one of the largest forestry companies in the US, to come give a keynote this morning to talk about some of the challenges that they face. Now you may say, what does a tree have to do with us drilling for oil? Well, they actually have very similar workflows about finding their core resources, about producing them, about moving them, and about getting them to market. You do exactly the same type of workflows at the same scale. Weyerhaeuser is one of the largest landowners across the US, and they're constantly trying to find the best use cases for that land. Just like you do on trying to get the best benefit and best return on the land that you lease. I want you to join me in welcoming Mark Miller to the stage. Mark Miller is CIO of Weyerhaeuser since 2016. Prior to that, he was Vice President and CIO at Plum Creek. So please welcome Mark to the stage.
Thanks. Thank you. Danny, thank you for the introduction. For the last 3 years at Weyerhaeuser, we've been on a journey to reinvent ourselves and our industry. We call this journey our connected forest. And for my presentation, I want to tell you a little bit about our company, the journey we've been on, and where we're headed. Now, I'm still wondering, as a forest products CIO, what am I doing here presenting to petroleum folks? But hopefully you'll be able to use some of the things that we share around connected forests and leverage them into your business models. So let's start with Weyerhaeuser. We are predominantly a North American company that is in the business of growing and harvesting trees and turning that fiber into products that consumers want. We were founded in the 1900s. Over the past 120 years, our focus has been the same: grow trees, harvest trees, replant trees, and repeat. We're sustainable in our focus. Our products and our company have changed over the years, but generally we are used for building and pulp and paper industries. What's changed dramatically is the environment, public policy, and public opinion around how we do business. The map here indicates the Weyerhaeuser footprint, and you'll see in the dark green areas showing where our 12.2 million acres of US timberlands, and the yellow shapes indicate our various manufacturing and distribution business centers. As you can see, we have operations concentrated in the Pacific Northwest and the US South, with some timberlands in northern US and several operations across Canada. In our history, we focused on growing and harvesting trees. As the world changed, we learned that there were more ways to derive value from the land we used to grow the trees in. We call this delivering the most value from every acre, which means leverage all opportunities. This diagram on the left shows the various opportunities we leverage as a part of our business today. Two significant growth areas are recreation lease and land conservation. The value objective is complication to our business, and one that we're wrestling with every day. We have to make decisions on when to farm trees versus competing interests like dig rock quarries or license oil and gas drilling, or eventually potentially selling it for real estate development. We needed to develop more sophistication in managing all aspects of our land. What's over it, what's on it, what's under it. GIS tools, such as the tools we leverage from Esri, are critical to manage our assets. We use sophisticated GIS modeling to evaluate and manage the best use. The diagram across the top of the slide gives you a layout of our supply chain, which is the scope of our connected forests. We grow our own seedlings, We use them to plant in harvested areas. We do many activities, silviculture activities, to ensure the trees reach their full potential. And then we harvest them and match them to the best customer. This is rather consistent over 100 years of history. However, earlier I mentioned that while our business remains growing and harvesting trees, our environment has changed a lot. The industry has been faced with challenges. Some of these challenges you probably share with us. We have shrinking resources as population growth increases, and we have increased demands on housing. We have weather pattern changes that impact our products negatively. We have increased risks due to pests, fires, landslides, those types of challenges, as well as increased governmental and environmental regulations. And finally, you probably share with us as well, a shifting workforce. So with those challenges come opportunities. We need to effectively manage this special resource of 12.2 million acres and make sure it's the most efficient possible, as well as have an agile supply chain so we can get the right product to the right customer at the right time. As it relates to weather, we need to make sure that we have a supply chain that can deal with weather events and also get products to weather impacted areas where they need those resources. As it relates to risks like pine beetles, we need to develop better genetic stock that we plant that can be resilient against those risks. Responsibility to track our environmental and governmental regulations is critical for us. So we need to capture that data and be fully willing to be transparent around our activities. And then finally, we need to streamline and automate our processes for our next generation workforce. So here's what that looks like in our footprint every day. This picture, a little bit busy, gives you an example of our timberlands operations where we're growing trees, harvesting trees, loading trucks, running the trucks over our private roads, delivering to customers where they're going to convert that product into products that you all use every day. Now, 3 years ago, this process was not standardized and was highly paper-driven. So over the last 3 years, you can see we've digitized the data capture throughout the process. And that's helped us become more efficient. And that's what it's really all about, managing our forests effectively. We really think about that across the better stock, genetic stock, to grow healthy trees, responsibly track and monitor our operations, and build that supply chain resiliency. So where are our forests growing and how are they growing is something we need to track every day. Where do we have rec lease activities which could create risk for people in our timberlands? Where have we made oil and gas commitments? That's that power of where that was talked about earlier in presentations. For our where, we need to track where are our sensitive waterways? Where's our road network and how does that lay out? What are the mineral rights that we need to be available to provide? As well as environmental challenges like endangered species. So these are all the activities that we're taking on to effectively manage our forest. Our technical environment was developed in each business over a long period of time. We have over 100 applications, and virtually none of them interacted. Step one of our technical stack was to decide what our core would be. We call this our Big Four applications, and these spanned across our supply chain. Our forest management system helps us manage all of our silviculture activities. Our wood flow is really about where are we taking that wood, to what customers. Our transportation and logistics is how we're going to move it out of the woods to those customer sites. And finally, our contract and settlement system is all about making sure we get paid for those products. So given this best-of-breed approach, we invested heavily in an integration platform to make sure that that data flowed across the supply chain. We also are intentionally increasing our integration with our core company financial ERP system. Now, as we've talked about, where is critical, and we use Esri geospatial platform as the foundation for our where in our business. Given that we have the fully integrated data, we can now have strong BI and analytics platforms with geospatial components. And given that our business is out in the environment, much as yours is, we are working hard now on mobilizing those applications, making them tablet, drone available, so that we can really get people out into the woods being productive. So in closing, I've shared with you what we've done over the 120 years in our supply chain and how much it's changed for us. And you're all facing probably challenges that are similar. But what we've learned through the Connected Forest is we needed to drive standard process and data. That was critical for us. We needed to get to a standard set of applications and mobilely enable them. And then finally, we needed to automate our data capture and empower our employees with those strong analytics. But we have a long ways to go. Our vision is a digital forest, one that's built on a culture of innovation, that our employees are data-driven in their work every day, that we look for opportunities to apply new technologies like satellite communication in our supply chain, drones for capturing data, as well as taking on activities that are high risk to employees, apply machine learning to our data sets, improve our ability to manage routable roads, and finally, we envision a day where we'll have IoT sensors in every tree. You heard just about from the Esri folks about the opportunity with digital. We believe it's there for natural resource companies, and we're very focused in the next years to build on what we've done with our Connected Forest to get there. We think there's tremendous opportunities to collaborate cross industries with petroleum companies and others to apply these new technologies. So hopefully what I shared with you today was meaningful, and we look forward to having the opportunity to collaborate with you in the future. Thank you for the opportunity to present. Appreciate it.